I need to buy a new car. Market really sucks right now. Obviously, I'm gonna have to buy something more cheaper than I'm used to. Hopefully, I don't have to resort to a
PT Cruiser.
The PT Cruiser is slow, despite being slow, terrible gas mileage, really bad handling, crappy cargo volume, despite being a hatchback, cheap interior, terrible sound system, uncomfortable seats, tons of blind spots, hard to park because of the unconventional proportions, UGLY. Anxiety disorders are the most prevalent mental health disorders experienced by men. What causes any man out there to experience the unwelcomingness of anxiety is a simple fear. And a fear is simply an uncomfortable emotion that is viewed as dangerous and threatening to one individual. So just simply be a man and stop fearing anything. Good night. Of course I'm kidding. There are ways to overcome fears, to extinguish the anxiety, so you can just go about your business blissfully and live the life as the great man you really are. And it's the same simple answer for defeating a fear and overcoming the anxiety from that fear. This is basically just to figure out what is causing it, what started it, the main sources of it, the aspects of it that are causing you to feel this certain way, that is dangerous to you, that is very threatening to you. But everyone has different perceptions. All individuals perceive fear very differently, which means we have to all figure out our own fears and overcome them all differently. Now, I'm not a professional psychologist. I did not go to school for it. I took psych in college, just a brief 3-week class. No educational background prevalent to how I'm explaining it. Just cold, hard experience from it all. Dealing with it with my ADHD and using what has helped me to overcome it as I implement it into my coaching sessions with guys who deal with the same exact thing. And it is very much the truth of overcoming a fear is really dissecting it and learning every type of aspect of it until you feel satisfaction from it to move past it. Not just facing it head on, because if you can face it head on, that's great. But a lot of cases, people try to do that and they end up backtracking, which causes even more anxiety to build up upon on it, making it even harder to face it again. That's happened to me with countless of times. And with my case, it's just I kept tired of taking these initiatives, these steps to overcoming it and being thrown back into this pen, this bird cage per se. So I just kind of gave up with it and kind of maneuvered my life around it. I'd avoid social events because I know people there that were at those events would put me down immediately the second they'd see me, ask why I'm there, but tell me to leave as quick as possible. I'd avoid driving because I had horrible driving anxiety, which caused by somewhat of fear from that aspect of my social ineptness as well. Not feeling accepted, so why would I feel good enough to even be able to drive a car? Yes, it does get that bad. And obviously the same with school. I'd get so anxious when there was a test coming up. I had never felt I was confident and smart enough for this test, and I would study everything that was put out there. I'd do as much as I possibly can. I never even skipped class, and yet, I still had a poor grade point average. But through this all, experiencing that, it broke me to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. I was just completely fed up, and I had to figure out what is causing this. Instead of just facing this fear head on and thinking that, well, I'm facing it, it's going to be defeated because I'm putting up a fight against it, it's going to be worn out and it won't defeat me. It just kept outsmarting me. I really had to find out what was causing this. And from there what happened is I discovered aspects around it all that truly opened up the guts and gore of my fears per se, to really figure out how it works and how it can be defeated, killed. And again, this is just my perspective. I'm trying to give the most simplest explanation I can, so any man out there who views this, who suffers with anxieties and fears, can perceive it in their own way and adapt it to their own values to overcome it and make it their own. Because that's a big step. You have to believe you can do it. You have to believe that everything that was overcame was not because of something else. It was because of you. That's why it's as simple as that to overcome fears and anxiety. It all starts with this first step, is acceptance. Accept that you've put yourself in this state. Accept that you are doing this to yourself. Nothing caused it. You're the one who convinced yourself to be fearful of something, to have anxiety from it. It starts with being very calm. Very, very calm. Going deep into your headspace very quietly and just soothing yourself, emptying those thoughts out of your head. I was on flues of medications for my ADHD, Adderall, everything, you name it. And it took me a very long time to realize that I do not need this crap. It took me to the point where I had a whole bottle of Adderall and I just looked at it and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's not helping, it's making it worse. And I ended up selling it. And I found out what really helps me. And it's affirmations that make you calm, meditating, listening to certain types of music with special hertz that soothe your brain naturally. Because once you become into that meditative state, you're fully unwind and open, relaxed, accepted. Anxiety starts to fizzle away, that smoke clears, and then answers start to reveal themselves. That body of fear reveals itself. That monster that has to be defeated is revealed. But this monster must not be faced head on once it is revealed. You need to start planning out. You need to start researching. You need to start researching its next move, how it acts, so you can precisely go about it effortlessly and execute through it. And then it gets down just to learning basic functions as well. When I was dealing with my driving anxiety, I stopped myself to think exactly what needs to be going on. All the functions of the car, speed limits, take everything into account. Because all of a sudden I had to spark that if you're doing everything accordingly right, almost all of the time, nothing is going to happen to you. And that really clicked. That's what really the answer is to overcoming fear is. If you just have that willing and knowingness that you are doing everything correctly within and out of your present days, you're unharmable. And then fear becomes distant to non-existent. Then when it goes about with school, it's obviously the main key with schooling is you have to pay close attention and read the material that is given. And I discovered a good distinction of what a good teacher is and what a bad teacher is. Because I would get teachers that would just rush through just PowerPoints of nothing and I wouldn't learn shit from it. I'd go for an explanation and then they would ask, well, didn't you take notes? And I'd explain like, well, it wasn't clear enough to take notes on, they didn't really hear you very well, and I would get ignored most of the time too, which really pissed me off, that really did. So I had to dig really deep. I'd have to rummage through books and look at exactly what they were talking about when it wasn't really what they were even explaining, but it was the correct answer. It was a better explanation of what they were saying. As goes that old saying is you really have to dig deep for answers. And a great quote that I just love by Tony Robbins is you have to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I would annoy every fucking teacher I'd have because I was the one kid that would not stop asking questions to the point where the teacher thought I was just trying to get all the answers out of them so I could just ace the test. And of course, a lot of teachers viewed me as the stupid kid for doing that. Remember, with us guys, we are very simplistic. And this is where all these manly phrases come from. Be a man especially. If you have the correct answer, be a man and feel confident enough that nothing's gonna go wrong because you have the truth on your side. That's all a man needs in this life is the truth. And that's what in a lot of cases makes a man, is following the truth, living by the truth. Never stopping, never stop fighting for the truth. And this is what also helped me overcome being socially inept, socially awkward, social anxiety, whatever you want to call it. I had to get down to these answers, these truths of why I'm acting this way. Why are these certain situations making me feel this way? I would watch a ton of videos. I've done a couple of sessions with a therapist when I was a lot younger. But what really helped me is physically figuring it out, as in doing workbooks, writing it down physically and learning it and repeating them as well. Coming up with different examples from the other examples I would put into these workbooks to really exaggerate this fear and plead it to non-existence. I really had to dig deep with this. And this book right here, books like that anyways, I'm just starting this one. I do these constantly. They really do help. I'm always learning, but they really help. They really do. They help you understand exactly why you are feeling this way and how to overcome it. Make you truly realize that it is a non-existent thing to free yourself, to live out life the way you should as a smooth man.
Saint Perigine, patron saint of all forms of cancer. We ask you for your help in asking God to heal my cancer and keep it in remission. Pray for me so that I may live a long and faithful life.